So, we all know LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers lost in the first round of the 2021 playoffs to the Phoenix Suns. Now, what we need to point out is Anthony Davis did get hurt in game number 4. He was hurt in game number 5, and he tried to play in game number 6, but ultimately his body just broke down on him. And some people believe in that series LeBron James wasn't quite 100%. And I will admit, I picked the Los Angeles Lakers to beat the Phoenix Suns in 6 games, and ultimately I was wrong. The Phoenix Suns ended up being the team that won in 6 games. Obviously, injuries did play a part in that, but they were the better team. Point blank, period. And, when it comes to LeBron James, him losing in the first round of the 2021 playoffs doesn't tarnish his legacy all that much. It really doesn't to me. I still consider LeBron James a top 5 player of all time. In that conversation, I put Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal. I probably would kick out Shaq from that group and add LeBron James. And, those are my 5 guys in no particular order. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron, Kareem, and Magic. Top 5 players of all time in no particular order. LeBron James, he's a 4-time champion, 4-time league MVP, a 17-time All-Star. And let's be real, other superstar and Hall of Fame level players have lost in the first round in the past. Michael Jordan has lost in the first round of the playoffs in the past. Kobe Bryant lost in the first round in the past. Kevin Durant once lost in the first round in the past, okay? So, my stance on LeBron James has not changed, okay? But here's one thing that we need to be clear about, people. LeBron James will never be the greatest basketball player of all time. He will never be the GOAT. LeBron James, as I speak today, he's disqualified from being named the greatest basketball player of all time. And if you currently right now think LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time, you are overrating his legacy. Games like these in game number 6, where LeBron James was lackadaisical, didn't seem all that engaged, really didn't get his teammates, involved in the way they should. It took LeBron James a while to assert himself in a closeout game 6 at home, and LeBron was just lackadaisical. And let's be real, I think LeBron James ultimately quit on his team. That's something that Michael Jordan would never do. And Michael Jordan, by the way, is the greatest basketball player of all time. And he always will be. There's nothing that can change that. LeBron James will never catch him, okay? And when it comes to Michael Jordan, he was just better than everyone else, When it comes to offense, defense, he was better than LeBron James. He was the better offensive player. He was the better scorer, better shooter, better defender. He's more accomplished. He's the more clutch player. And when Michael Jordan was expected to win the championship, he won every single time. 6 NBA Finals appearances, 6 wins, never let a team get to a Game 7, undefeated in the NBA Finals. And LeBron never realistically had a shot to catch Michael Jordan. He realistically never had a chance because Michael Jordan has close to a perfect NBA career as there is out there when you combine a player's skill set and his accomplishments. Because we ultimately have to, judge the talent, but we also have to judge the accomplishments and what the player did. And, did they overcome adversity? Did you win championships? Did you win MVPs, etc., etc.? Ultimately, LeBron James quit on his team. We saw in game number 1, the Los Angeles Lakers had a chance to take control of the game, and LeBron James failed to do so. Game number 4, they had a chance. LeBron failed to take over the game. Game 5, they got blown out because LeBron James was lackadaisical and not, ready to go. And same thing in game 6. LeBron James comes out flat. His team comes out flat, And there's way too many blemishes on LeBron James' resume for him to be the greatest basketball player of all time. That is why I'm disqualifying him, okay? Because ultimately, I don't think the Lakers are going to win very many more championships with LeBron James, during the LeBron James era. I think that at most, they can squeeze out one more title from LeBron James. And even if LeBron James wins one more championship, I don't think that puts him ahead of Michael Jordan as the greatest basketball player of all time. As great as LeBron James is, he has had way too many blemishes on his resume. LeBron James has 6 NBA Finals losses, okay? Michael Jordan has 6 NBA Finals wins. I'm sorry, people, but if Joe Montana was undefeated in Super Bowls, and by the way, he is, okay, but let's just say, Joe Montana was 6-0 in Super Bowls, and Tom Brady was like 3-6 or 4-6. I'm sorry, but if Tom Brady is below 500 in the Super Bowl, there's no way I can put him over Joe Montana. And I put Tom Brady ahead of Joe Montana as the greatest quarterback of all time because, well, he has a winning record in the NBA Finals, and ultimately he has the longevity and all that. But let's just stick to LeBron James. LeBron James has 6 NBA Finals losses. Michael Jordan has 6 NBA Finals wins, okay? And LeBron has been swept by the Spurs once. He's been swept by the Warriors. He lost to the San Antonio Spurs another year in Miami when he had a loaded roster. He lost to the Spurs by a record margin in 5 games. He absolutely choked to the Dallas Mavericks in 6 games where the Miami Heat were the clear-cut favorites to win the championship that year. He choked. That was one of the biggest meltdowns and choke jobs by an NBA superstar, maybe in the history of basketball, okay? And ultimately, LeBron James has also lost to the Golden State Warriors in 5 games. I mean, he just has too many blemishes on his resume. I'm sorry, but if you're below 500 in championship games, meaning like NBA Finals or Super Bowls, I'm sorry, you're disqualified from being the greatest of all time. It's just like, if you've only won 1 Super Bowl in your career, I can't name you the greatest, quarterback of all time, potentially. It's just not going to happen. There are certain boxes you must check, okay? And look, I don't think the Lakers are gonna, unless the Lakers get another superstar level player to play alongside LeBron James, I think the Lakers have peaked in the LeBron James era. They got a big break with the pandemic last year where Anthony Davis was healthy, LeBron James was able to get his body rejuvenated, and they were the best team all the way through that bubble. But we saw this year when they don't get a 4-month hiatus, in a 4-month break and things like that, and teams don't have to make adjustments on the fly in a bubble when it's an even playing field, the Lakers don't look so good, The Lakers need another superstar level player for LeBron James to compete and win another championship. And LeBron will need to win at least 2 more championships to even be in the discussion to be the greatest basketball player of all time, just because he's had so many blemishes in the past, okay? And when you look at Anthony Davis and his injuries, Father Time potentially catching up to LeBron James, I think the Lakers have peaked. I think LeBron James' legacy is pretty much set in stone. He's going to go down as the top 5 player of all time, maybe the all-time leading scorer when it's all said and done. He's going to put up a ton of statistics because of the way the game is being played today, because he has, for the most part in his career, had a high usage rate where he's, dominated the basketball. Ultimately, he's a great player, but longevity has played a part in a lot of these records. And offense is at an all-time high these days. So LeBron's going to put up a ton of records, but records don't make you the greatest of all time. Drew Brees is the all-time leading, passing yards leader. He's the all-time passing yards leader as we speak today. He's not better than Joe Montana. He's not better than Tom Brady. He's just not, okay? Bruce Smith is the all-time sacks leader. He's not better than Reggie White. He's not better than Lawrence Taylor, okay? And even today, when you look at guys like Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, these guys in the playoffs played at a higher level than LeBron James. And Kevin Durant, I've been saying for the past couple of years that he's overtaken LeBron James as the best player in all basketball. So LeBron, I think he's peaked. I don't see LeBron enhancing his legacy anymore. And by the way, that's not a shot at LeBron James because he's had a heck of a career, but I think that his reign as being the best in the game and, him adding to his all-time legacy, I think it's pretty much done for. I think that LeBron had a chance to potentially maybe become the greatest basketball player of all time, but he just has too many blemishes on his resume. And when it's all said and done, LeBron James will never become the greatest basketball player of all time for all the reasons that I mentioned. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.